Hello, my name is Omar Abisad. It is May 31st, 2018, Thursday, and it's 1:17 p.m. in Toronto. So I'm going to talk to you about the ongoing harassment that I'm receiving outside the window. Um, as I said before, I have the corporation and a worker in the Human Rights Tribunal for sexual harassment. And I am experiencing sexual harassment from the contractors that's working outside my window. And for the last week or so, they're working directly outside my window with the scaffolding going up and down the building, on the side of the building. So they are talking really loudly and swearing. And they're repeating comments um, that was made in the human rights submissions. They are repeating comments that was made in submissions to the courts for mental evaluation. And the tweets that I have on ROSHINI 911, those are mine today. Um, as far as I can tell, the account's not been hacked. I also posted some videos of the constant harassment outside the window. Now, I'm suspecting that the uh, the contractors are working with the police to surveil me. Keep in mind that I have absolutely nothing to do with these people, none whatsoever. I'm afraid of them, so I wouldn't be following them. Recording them outside my window, swearing and making these nasty, violent comments about women because I am scared of them. And since I can't go to the cops, because the cops only end up charging me when I do, I am tweeting it. I'm tweeting it out of fear. I'm tweeting it out of concern, not only for me, but for other women in the building and in the area. Because these men are openly talking about logging into women remotely. They're talking about gerbling women. Gerbling is a gay term. It's used when a gerbil, believe it or not, is put up the gay man's anus for pleasure. So this is being imitated with remote technologies, which is easily done. And it's being done while you're asleep and while you're in bed. So it's a sodomization of kids, especially. This program is geared towards kids because this program is a training program that leads to physical sodomization as part of a prostitution ring or sex slave operation. So these men outside my window are openly talking about this. There are two black people who are referring to two black males who are referring to Rick. They're referring to someone named Salmon. These are black people. Neil, these are black people. And these are people I'm suspecting were in my past, either in job, in the workplace, or in um, places where I was taking courses. So were these people surveilling me on behalf of the person who had their name on the account who signed me out, who was contracting with the Toronto police to surveil me because I was flagged based on lies? As I said before, this is part of a trafficking setup. The flag and the outsourcing of the contracting because of the flagging is part of a cover to traffic people. The amount of men who's put their names on my account is evidence enough of trafficking. Family infiltration by the police and by the pimps from this building. And I do believe, and I don't only believe, I heard, they're telling me outright in my face, the Chinese pimps who are following me around, they're telling me outright that the Chinese warlords are bankrolling this. The Chinese are behind this. They're telling me in my face. So they could do this because they have the support of the police. So I have nowhere to turn for help, and they're taking advantage of this, and so they're rubbing it in my face. So of course, there is all different types of harassment, and there are different levels to this harassment. I do believe that there are groups of people who believe in sodomization who are taking part in this targeting. And sodomization goes with satanic groups, and there are satanic groups in Toronto. So if you're flagged and you're a target, meaning that people can do anything to you and get away with it, and it's all covered, then these not only criminals will come after you, but these cults will come after you as well. So these are satanic cults. So they will come after you to covertly chip you. They will infiltrate your doctors, your lawyers, your family, your friends, and pay them off if they need money. Refugees are great to be used this way because they need money, and they come from cultures that suppresses women and are violent towards women. So if they are paid to stalk a woman and to violate her, then of course it goes with their cultural belief system. So they wouldn't have a problem doing it. So I have Somalis following me around. I have Sharia Muslims following me around. I had two Sharia Muslim women who had me charged for something I didn't commit. They were harassing me as a mentally ill prostitute, which I was being flagged for at the time. And of course, the cops took their side and charged me. So these criminals and these satanic cults are doing what they're doing with the cops' support and knowledge. Of course, not all the Toronto police members are doing this. I am absolutely positive that there are people in the police force who detests what's going on, and either out of fear or well, fear mainly, they can't talk. But a lot of people, a lot of the police members, the police force members, will not take part in what's going on. But they are forced to take part for the ones who do and do not believe what's going. They don't subscribe to what's going on, but are forced to take part in it because they're scared for their lives. Basically, they will be killed. So again, not all. When I say the cops, I say this. What I should really be saying all of the time, and sometimes I don't. I should say the infiltrated members of the Toronto Police Force, and of course, this is going on all around the world. It's a global agenda. I believe there is satanic cults that's associating themselves with fundamental Muslims, fundamental Hindus, fundamental Christians, fundamental anything to suppress um, human rights, basically, because human rights cuts across all religions. There is nothing fundamental about human rights. Human rights for women, as a human being, actually, not only a woman, but human rights for all human beings. These are basic human rights, and if it's practiced for women, then it's under the umbrella of human rights for all human beings. However, because women are a group of people who's been suppressed and violated and taken advantage of historically within the system, it should have special attention be paid to it. So this is my submission to any courts that are hearing submissions from my perpetrators, which may or may not include members of the Toronto Police Force who are taking part in trafficking to cover. They're taking part in trafficking, so targeting me is a part of the cover to cover the trafficking that they're taking part in, the criminal activity. So for any courts that's hearing submissions from these people, this is my side of the story. There is no mental illness. There is, I am advocating for human rights for everybody. I don't care what religion they belong to. I don't care what country they're coming from. I don't care what color of their skin is. Basic human rights for everyone. And being trafficked, of course, violates every human right on the books. Also, it violates constitutional rights. So, because I'm standing up for this, and because I am targeted by traffickers of Chinese descent initially, but I believe they're traffickers in all ethnic groups who are trading back and forth with the Chinese traffickers. So it's not only the Chinese who are doing this. Um, I am I am speaking out because I am standing up against these traffickers. I'm speaking out. They are targeting me more heavily, and my family is a huge part of this. They're insisting that, well, actually, they've been treating me as a prostitute, which of course I'm not, and they're taking part in the monitoring, which is actually illegal surveillance, and they're harassing me about the monitoring, about the reports that they are getting from harassers. So they're infiltrated to take part in this abusive behavior. So any reports or any statements being made by any family member is just targeting. They should not be believed. There is no mental illness here. There's no emotional instability. There is a lot of harassment. Venting is a therapeutic activity that I take part in inside that I do inside of my home. The harassers outside my window are um, extreme in their language, in their violent language. Extreme. It's meant to incite anger, and it does. So this is a crime. They are committing a crime when they're outside my window talking this way. They are intentionally. Their intention is to incite my anger. Their intention is to trigger an emotional reaction. This is their crime, not mine. If recordings are being made, and some of them are really the use of doubles, not all the recordings are valid. They should be authenticated before they're submitted to a magistrate. Because voice cloning is being used. Because there's some things that I would never ever say that I'm being harassed about. Uh, People are claiming I said, and I would never say these things. So voice cloning is one of the many, many methods used and tricks used to set up somebody, frame them, paint them in a certain way. So they to let me get back to the harassers outside my window. These people are colluding with the worker I have in court, with some of the cops in the Toronto Police Force, with the corporation because they report to the corporation. The corporation hired them, and the corporation are ultimately responsible for all the emotional stress that's being caused by this harassment, and they will be taken to court for it. But this is my submission to the courts that's hearing, the one-sided story of the perpetrators who are targeting me. Talk to you another time.